the rankings are back, Trish. They announced this last night. Another topic we're going to get into. Like, what? The women are getting in-ring promo time and good matches. We're seeing really good workers on the women's division coming in. You know, the camera work in general has been better and more interesting. We've got title matches on TV. We've got builds to feuds. Like, belts are getting mixed up. I genuinely question if Christopher Daniels has gone through the back of the backstage area saging everything and the ghost of CM Punk has finally been exorcised from this promotion. Like, is Tony Khan out of his breakup phase where he was listening to Taylor Swift's sad songs and now he's into a new year, new me phase? I'm totally over him. Like, this is just... Let's kick it off with the rankings, Trish, because I think this is one that you and I have long bemoaned, right? The rankings disappeared. I feel like it was after FTR didn't get a title match. The rankings went away, right? They just went away one day. And one of the things that I think is so important to talk about when it comes to the rankings is the fact that the structure of the way AEW built title matches was around the rankings and was around Dark and Dark Elevation, right? And so once those went away, there was no structure. It's not like they were like, oh, we have this great plan in place. It was like, we should just get rid of this and we're not going to replace it with anything. And so then you end up with things like AR Fox having 13 title matches in a row and other like weird shit like that, right? So like... the rankings were never perfect. And I think one of the things that I find so frustrating is people being like, well, the rankings weren't perfect. And occasionally you had to like suspend disbelief. And so therefore they should never exist. The rankings are a storytelling device.
They're not perfect in sports. People argue about the college football rankings every year going into the playoffs. They argue about them in UFC. They argue about them in boxing. It's like, why are we pretending they're perfect everywhere?
Right.
Yeah, you're right. It's a storytelling device, but they're not perfect in sports either.
Right. Like, I think this was, you put it best, was it better when they weren't around? And the answer is a resounding no. No, they were not better when the things... And the thing about the rankings is they gave matches that had no stakes, right? Like, matches, like, look at Hangman versus Penta and Swerve versus... Jeff Hardy that are coming up this Wednesday, right? Neither one of these there's no feuds associated with them. Like, obviously, we know that Hangman and Swerve are currently in a title program. Neither one of these matches particularly have stakes. That said, now that you've introduced the rankings and we both know that those guys want Samoa Joe, now this match has a little bit more of a stake to it, right? Because it impacts whether or not they're going to get that title shot. You know, there's always the chance that we have a Brian Cage beating Hangman upset type situation. You know, it's just, it gives you, it calls back to what was best about the Continental Classic, which is random matchups on television suddenly have stakes again. Like, hallelujah. Like, was I laying down in bed when I got that tweet from Tony Khan? Yes. But did I want to like rip out of bed and start dancing around? No, but I almost thought about it. Like, it's just a phenomenal, like, hallelujah, we might be back. Trish, we might be back.
We just might.
Just might be back.
So, a lot of criticisms around the rankings were around Dark and Elevation. Well, they don't exist anymore. They have TV. They have 5 hours of TV.
Yeah.
So if you're going to go up in the rankings, you're going to wrestle on TV. And guess what? Adam Page, 7 times on TV last year as a singles wrestler.
7 times on television in 2023, folks. Okay? I need you to... That man... Again, he didn't have a mustache, so like maybe that was part of it. But like, that, you had that wrestler in your back pocket, and that man in your back pocket, and you didn't put him on television. You put him on television 7 times. And this is a Hangman Girly podcast. We are not gonna fight that in any way. But what are you? Come on, dude.
7 times, right? He's gonna be up to 3 times this year, like this week.
Yeah.
He might be up to 7 times in a year by Revolution. So, you've got a TV year. This is a TV contract year. How about we have something that is the device that means your best wrestlers need to wrestle on TV on a regular basis?
Right.
Does that sound like a bad idea? Kenny Omega wrestled 6 times on TV last year as a singles wrestler.
This is a side note that I'm going to jump into because, and this is I remember how I said I was going to be positive and no negativity. Mm-hmm. If God forbid, and we're all rooting for Kenny to get better as quickly as possible.
Absolutely.
And, you know, Dave had some stuff in the Observer this weekend about how sounds like he's going to be out for a while. If 2023, God forbid, was Kenny Omega's last year wrestling, the fact that man got downplayed so CM Punk's feelings wouldn't be hurt is like, you know, talk about being visited by 3 ghosts. Like, that's 2 of the ghosts right there. Like, that's just some bullshit. So
it was
anyway,
a complete
side note, but that's criminal. Like, that's freaking criminal.
It was complete booking malpractice. With Kenny was the most over baby face for most of the year. Was in doing incredible numbers. There was no excuse for kind of what happened there. To be honest,
6 matches on television. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, six singles matches on TV.
6 singles matches.
Even Jon Moxley. Jon Moxley, people think probably, people say he's overexposed potentially, but he had 20 singles matches. If you take out the Continental Classic, up to November, it was up at 14, 52-week year. I don't know. So the idea of the rankings being back and these guys having to wrestle on TV and having. You bring in Will Ospreay in. Will Ospreay wrestling on TV. Bryan Danielson wrestling on TV. Swerve Strickland, Hangman Page, whoever. Jon Moxley, all your main people. Chris Jericho, the Bucks wrestling. Although, I think the Bucks may play with the rankings, but we'll come to that.
I hope so. So hold that thought, because we're going to get into it.
Yeah, we'll come to their authority figure stuff in a bit. But you've got, Darby, Cassidy, whoever. Seeing these people on TV on a weekly basis is going to make this a better show than it was last year.
Yes.
And the rankings will immediately do that. Because there is no Dark. You can't stick Lance Archer on Dark to do 5 wins to get a title shot.
Right.
It's not happening. We can't do it. And that's great. So that keeps them honest another way. But also means that you are going to see people on a regular basis, which was probably one of the major complaints last year.
Yeah.
The other things... Sorry.
No, I was going to say, one of the things that I could say, there were some hints that the rankings were coming back, but one of the things they've been doing in the last couple of weeks that was noticeable was that, like, for example, I was mean about poor Christian Cage and Dustin Rhodes, but Dustin Rhodes got a TV win and a promo before he had the title match with Christian. Like, it's not just this thing where they're throwing guys who we haven't seen before in title matches. They've changed it slightly.
Yeah, I don't know. I still not keen on that. But then again, my way of looking at it, is that the ranking should be more around the world title for singles wrestlers.
I don't disagree.
I don't know so much about mid-titles. The TNT belt has always been an open challenge belt, traditionally. Right. And that's kind of moved sideways onto the international title. But I have no issue with the 3 middle belts being kind of more in feuds or in issues or just as open challenges. If you keep the rankings just for the world title, that's absolutely fine. But you can then earn them title shots. You're not doing the Garcia thing where he loses 10 matches and then he wins one on Rampage and now he gets a world title shot. And they did make the mistake sometimes with the rankings. People point out Dante Martin with Hangman. It should have been an eliminator. That's a booking mistake. It's not necessarily a problem with the rankings. It should have been title eliminator. But that was more because they wanted Hangman to have a certain amount of wins to try and please the fan base because they knew they were taking the belt with him. Yeah, right. So that was other pressures that created that. And, the FTR thing, well, maybe, it's one of them things where, so they were number 1 contenders for how long, whoever, when they had the Ring of Honor belts or whatever. Well, maybe they should have just wrestled the Acclaim when they were faces, So there's always been other points in that. But they have somebody who's great with detail, Will Washington, in their creative team there. So you have somebody in terms of keeping them honest or keeping that detail in place or ensuring it matches with where they want to go in the storylines, they have someone with that type of brain, and that's going to really help them in this time around. Yeah. And they obviously have plans in place. So if you're bringing the rankings back and they already know that they're bringing in Ospreay, for example, they know there's potential of bringing in Okada. So you should already be planning for that. So it's that thing of pre-planning coming back into AEW after years of just complete chaos and stories being chopped up, changed, just started in places that no one kind of understands why. Right. So that feeling of kind of momentum building because you can feel there's a long-term plan in place, it's that trust in your audience back into the product. And that comes with the thing, Dave was talking this morning about perception, and AEW has to overcome that perception. One of the great ways you can do about it is you rebuild that trust. And that's what this is about, because the thing the rankings did well for me was it created momentum, as in you could see something coming. Yes. And you got excited for it.
It was awesome. Yeah. That was one of the best things, was like, oh gosh, he's climbing. Let's go. Like, it was a fun, stupid, I don't know. Like, I just feel like you want to complain about the rankings. The thing that I think is, the WWE idiots hate the rankings. And that alone should tell you that they're a decent device to do something with. You know what I mean? No one's looking for perfection on these things. You're allowed to suddenly take a shortcut, or somebody wins a ladder match, or somebody does it. Like, I'm fine with that. There's nothing wrong with those things. Like, but you have to have a consistent structure in place for your general week-to-week booking. And they have missed that for so long.
And the thing about that ladder match, right? So everyone goes, Hangman's Casino ladder match win. One, he still had that record. He got knocked down the rankings because that was the storyline device they did with the 5v5, which was a late decision for many reasons with Hangman.
Yes.
So they did that. But when he comes back in that ladder match, what people forget is 4 out of the 5 guys in the rankings with a better record with him were in that ladder match.
Yes.
He beat everybody above him in the rankings.
Yes.
That was how we knew he was coming back. We spotted that because we had the rankings to look at. That became a source for excitement because we looked at that and went, oh my God, Moxley's in there. Oh my God, Orange Cassidy's in there. Like Lance Archer. We knew then that he was coming back. So people look at that and they go, oh, you know, he jumped this and he did what this. It gave us the excitement in the first place, and that's the bit you've missed when you fought back on that. So yeah, it's not going to be perfect, but my God, it's got to be better than what we've had in the last 18 months. Like,
please just give me some structure. I'm like an angry toddler. I just would like some structure. Oh my God.
And yeah, it makes them an alternative, and everything that distinguishes them away from WWE is great to me. Because it got too close. Especially in the last 6 months of 2020 and 2023. It got far too close in the storytelling devices and things not making sense, or people shrugging their shoulders and just saying, oh, it's fine. It's not fine, because you've got to give people a reason to invest in this momentum. And that's part of a huge thing, especially for your baby faces. And this is what we talked about last time. What's a great way for a momentum for baby faces? To be on TV every week and to win every week and to cut promos about it. And the rankings give you a reason to do that, just like they did in the Continental Classic.
Yep.
So,
Narrative coherence, to bring back a catchphrase.
Yes.
You know?
That is like the podcast catchphrase.
You could just be coherent about it. Follow your own internal logic. You can do some crazy things once in a while, but like they have to make sense within the universe you've created. It's basic fiction, folks. It's not that like complicated.